Hey, hey,
Hey, I'm here.
you're there. All right. Well, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to have you here.
Yes, I am too. It's great to be on here.
All right. A lot of nice things happening over at Sizzle, isn't there?
Oh, lots going on, and you know, uh, onward and upward, and we definitely we're having great growth and great people, and just got back from Indiana a few weeks ago and met a lot of exciting people, and boy, that group's really growing out there. We had about
Yeah.
350 people, and really growing.
That's exciting. Yeah. And now
Yeah.
hopefully some of these restrictions will lift and we can start traveling to Australia and New Zealand where a lot of my team is. And.
Absolutely. In fact, we had, I think Liesl's called today. She talked about the packs that we're doing,
Yep.
for a flat rate of $20 shipping. And I think that'll help a lot of people too, and in getting product over there, and letting people enjoy all these great formulations, and the business opportunity also.
That's right. That's right. That's the whole thing. I always tell people that network marketing, when I first got started with it back in my clinic, a long time ago, I mean, I was in Amway, I was in a couple other different companies before you know, probably back when you and your dad first were working with your old company. And
Hmm.
and I'd never heard of your company or anything like that. But anyhow, um, I sold products, and you could make a little bit of money. You buy them wholesale and you sell them retail, and you can make a little bit of money. But there's about I think with Sizzle, that what is there, 10% markup between wholesale and retail?
Yeah, roughly. Depends on where you're at, preferred customer or a distributor, or yeah, exactly, about 10%.
Yeah. So if all you're doing is just basically going out and finding customers, you're never going to make the big money.
Never. No, it's about duplication. That's
Yeah.
why it's about networking.
It's about
And
networking and building that business, going out and finding other team members who go out and build the business. Of course, there's good people like my mom and dad who all they ever want to be is customers.
correct. Yep, and it's all about the product, but it's dynamic products that fuel the compensation engine, and through the power of duplication, it's that old thing with, do you want to make $100 on one sale, or do you want a penny over a billion sales, and the money's there, but you've got to have the products to sustain it. And that's why we're completely different than 95% of the companies out there, in the fact we're really a research and development and manufacturing company, and we use network marketing as a way to get the word out about these products, rather than going to retail and putting them on a shelf and losing about 90% of every dollar into advertising. We would soon give it to the people that are gaining the testimonies and the better health about these dynamic formulations that we have spent the last 4 decades researching.
You betcha. You betcha. Well, and I'll tell you what, recently we've been for the last, I want to say it's been at least 6 weeks. We've been pushing um, kind of this idea that your dad had when the age fill first came out. We've
Mm-hmm.
been we've been issuing a challenge to everybody on the team to do what we're calling a 2 week challenge. Go back and do like your dad, like senior said, do a double dose. Take a double dose of the age pill. Instead of taking 3 in the morning, take 6. And instead of taking 3 in the afternoon, take 6. Because back 5 years ago, I mean, can you believe that the age pill's only been out for 5 years? It seems like it's been out longer than that.
It's hard to believe, and hundreds of thousands of bottles have been sold. But what's most important is the reorders of that product, because that's what we look for. That means people are getting the results. And you saw this, Doc. You knew Dad the last how many years did you know my father?
Oh
For
man, I don't remember when exactly. I was traveling through Omaha, and of course, I stopped to talk to my buddy Dan. And Dan says, "Here, you got to listen to this audio or this, and he gave me this CD, or not CD, yeah, CD. And I threw it in my CD player as I was going to St. Louis because I was a speaker at an anti-aging conference there. And as I'm driving from Omaha to St. Louis, I'm listening to your dad talk about
Yep.
TSX.
Hmm.
and
Yep.
I just really been listening and hearing about one of the other telomere products that's on the market.
Yeah.
And I just been hearing about that one, and that one of course sells for $350 to $500 for a bottle of
Right.
it.
Yep.
And you know what I'm talking about. And I'm listening to your dad talk about this. I'm going, holy cow, this product is 30 times more powerful and a third of the price. I'm like, yeah.
And that's exactly it. But they went more of the retail type model. And the interesting thing about that product, you're right, back in the 80s, Dad went to China and looked and brought over those exact plants and species, because the ancient people in China thousands of years ago knew that they had powerful effects on our body. And they knew that people lived longer. And they actually did studies on rats and chickens and also on people. But typical of China, they said only the wealthy or only the emperor's family could have access to those because they worked. And they saw that, that 20 to 30% lifespan was increased by taking those. Well, the advent of modern science and with microscopes and high pressure liquid chromatography and IR and mass spec and all the things, were able to identify what those ingredients were. And of course, you're talking about TSX. But really talking about anti-aging, my point being, you saw Dad and years ago, and what you saw was obviously as he became older, what did he become more in tune to? Things that would help to stop anti-aging, because all of the research that we had done was about living healthier, which is definitely a part of living better, healthier, longer. But as he became older and also science was increasing, he became more and more aware that aging was not just part of life, it was a disease. And it was a disease that could be impacted greatly with powerful nutrition and lifestyle changes. And that's why you look at demographic studies and you'll say, well, I know over in Russia they have a really high incidence of alcoholism, and I know a few years ago that the average age for an adult male was in the mid 50s. Well, come over to America, it's in the mid 70s. Well, that's really lifestyle as much as anything. And then other demographic studies, the French paradox. Why do they have a high fat diet and not a real healthy diet, but they live longer? Well, resveratrol that we have in Eternity. And, I was looking at studies today on resveratrol, and geez Louise, it increases the nitric oxide in our body about 2 or 3 times greater increase in nitric oxide. What does that mean to heart health? That's why they had a lower risk along the Rhine River drinking all that wine with all that resveratrol, because they had healthier hearts. And so, the world goes out there, like Cortez and other Spanish conquistadors looking for the fountain of youth. And what we've realized over the last 40 some odd years that I've been a part of this, and I went on further to the University of Utah in human biology and chemistry because I wanted to know more of the nuts and bolts and visualization of what it was. Dad was a great research scientist. He went out there and wanted to see who was doing what and what had been out there for thousands of years. Today, he wanted to focus on the age pill, and maybe I'll take us back for just a moment because, I definitely prescribe to the fact, and I think many people do now, that aging is a disease. If it is as a disease, why can we not do something about that? Well, we are. And I believe that there's many people that are on this call today and out there in the world that are going to see great advancements over the next 2 to 3 decades to where it's going to be treated more like a disease rather than treating just the symptoms. Why is it that when we're in our 70s, a lot of people have cancer, and in the 80s we have heart disease, and in our 90s we have Alzheimer's. We know that there are great things that we can do in lifestyle and nutrition that will give us a better, healthier, longer life. Now, one thing that we learned years ago is the fact that, talking about resveratrol again, looking at, aging and what does that mean? When we're born, our first year is 1 year, and really our second year is our second year. But the time we get to about 30, every year after that is about 1.8 years of aging. And by the time we get to 70, it's about 1 year is about 2.2. Now, this is all based upon the fact that genetically, we know that we should live to be 120 to 150 years, and scientists have shown that. We have the genetic code, it is there. If we take care of what we have, and we don't get hit by a bus going home tonight, or die in a plane accident, or have a mishap, genetically we are there. We have lots of problems, and there is no company like Sizzle out there that is so focused on fighting all the different environmental factors, nutritional factors, that will help us realize that goal of becoming to that age. We are way ahead of anybody else. You go to a CVS pharmacy, and you go to Walmart and Costco, and you look at the gummies and the chewable vitamins and things, they're concerned about selling SKUs. Well, we're concerned about that too, in the fact that we know the better the science, the better the results. We will do that. We're not fighting for shelf space, looking for the cheapest form of calcium. We're looking for the form of calcium that performs the best in our body. Well, by the time, we get up to 90 years of age, we are aging at about 2.6 years per year. And at that point, obviously, most people don't make it beyond that because they have had heart problems and cancer and Alzheimer's and many of these age-related diseases. I'm not going to say aging. I hate it when I see that someone died of natural causes because they were old. No, there is something there within their system that broke down, and we know that for a fact. Now, the age pill that you want to talk about today is very crucial for that. As we look at, I talk about demographic studies, large populations, and then we look at regions within demographics, and then we look at people and their lifestyles. But if we break the human body down, what are we? We are 30 to 40 trillion cells that are taking in nutrients. They are building proteins. They have our genetic code, our DNA that has to be maintained pristine. It's kind of like if you lose, your grandma's apple pie recipe and you can't remember if it was salt or sugar. Well, guess what? The results are very different if you put salt in instead of sugar. Same with DNA. If it is not maintained pristine, it does not duplicate correctly. And when that happens, we get proteins that aren't right, and things happen. And what do we call it? We call it aging. And so we want to maintain our DNA. And so from a broad spectrum point of view, we have many different products. Every product we have is geared towards anti-aging, meaning that our hair shampoo, we don't have the nitrosamines in there, the formaldehyde donors, the artificial colors that cause problems, all of these things, because part of aging is being subjected to all of these antioxidants and these new chemicals, which might be out there for 200 years, but our bodies have been designed from thousands of years or millions of years. Our bodies don't know how to handle those, and so our bodies try to eliminate it. So part of the Sizzle products are based on not having those harmful ingredients, and those we brand as Sizzle Safe. And so that's part of it. But now when we break our body down, we're 30 to 40 trillion cells. In each one of those cells, we have what we call organelles. We have little factories in that cell that produce energy, and that is our body's currency to function and move and think, and it produces electricity. And so within that cell, we have vacuoles, and we have ribosomes that are bringing in and out waste materials and bringing in minerals and proteins and hormones and different things that we need to make us function. And what do they protect in the middle? We have the nucleus, and in that nucleus, we have our very genetic code, and that's the Bible of our body right there. That tells us that we need to duplicate, make new cells. Well, the hard part about aging, we have so many wonderful things out there. We know, don't smoke, you need to exercise, watch your weight. Right now, I'm doing a lot of research into white fat versus brown fat and what the conversion is and energy and weight loss and everything. And we'll talk about that on another episode. But today I want to talk about the age pill and what it does to the cell, because this is really where it starts. So within the cell, as we're talking about aging, that DNA is telling us we should live to be 150 years of age. And I wholeheartedly believe that. But as these outside factors come in and affect that cell, well, guess what? Then it doesn't work as well. It doesn't duplicate into a new cell as well. It doesn't produce the proteins it should that stimulate hormone production. It doesn't detoxify as well. And all that happens, it's like having a car, all of a sudden you've got 300,000 miles on that motor. Well, guess what? The oil's sludge and things don't fit the same. So the age pill is designed with sound science to clean that cell and keep it moving properly. If you have a car engine, Doc, you know this, you need oxygen, you need spark, and you need fuel. And those are really some of the fundamentals with the cell. We need all the different types of fuel for that cell, and that mitochondria is going to produce electrical energy if it has the hydrogen it needs and if it has the ability to remove toxins out of the cell. Well, as we become older and these cells are working, they become what we call glycation, where proteins and sugars combine and they're not removed, these byproducts, and pretty soon that cell really slows down to where it does not function like it should. And so research scientists have found many ingredients out there that help to remove this glycation, because then it moves in the next stage, which is lipofussion. And then at that point, it moves into where the stem cells, which are the very basal layers of our cells that duplicate. And when they duplicate, they receive differentiation to become, a nose, an eye, an ear, different proteins. And so we have to have, when we're born, all those stem cells are working great. But as we get this glycation and lipofussion, those stem cells become about 40–50% of them become what we call senescent, dormant. They don't do anything, but they hold valuable real estate that we need them out of there. And so we need to keep all of our cells clean and functioning healthily. And this is what the age pill is designed for. It cleans it, it helps remove that glycation, but it helps to produce a very key ingredient that our body needs, which is NAD+. This is the magical molecule. Well, I shouldn't say magical, we know what it is. This is the molecule that the mitochondria uses to produce energy, because nothing happens within our body, within that cell, without vast amounts of this energy. And it's kind of cyclical. It has to regenerate over and over and over. ATP to ADP to AMP, AMP back to ATP. And the NAD that this is helping to produce and supply, the more we have of it, the faster that energy cycle is generated. Now, also a real great product to go with this is our hydrogen product, because one thing about hydrogen, and what is it, one atom, it just about passes through everything. When we're drinking water and we're taking this hydrogen supplement, this hydrogen is available because NAD needs that hydrogen to get that AMP back to ATP, where it can, boom, fire again and produce that energy. So ATP or the age peel is essential in keeping those individual cells just firing great. Now, as we become older, like I say, 40–50% of these stem cells become senescent. Now, the bad thing about that is they also release toxins that affect other healthy cells. And so a companion product with the age peel is the Stemolytic, because it is designed to help those go through what we call apoptosis, cellular death, remove those senescent, stem cells that aren't doing their job, get them out of the way so a new one can take its place to produce the cells we need. We know that our body is designed to regenerate. I mean, we've seen this with many animals. A salamander loses its leg, it grows a new one. At a certain point, you can take a toe off a mouse, it regenerates a new one. There's so many examples out there. Bodies are designed to regenerate, but we have to keep them clean. We have to keep them toxic free. We have to give them the powerful nutrition that they need, or we fall to this horrible disease called aging. And, that's the sad thing about it. I mean, we know over time, as there's been advancements in science, people have been able to live longer. Well, that's really not the case most of the time now, because we know that there's so many environmental factors out there, and we know food is going down. So we have to supply the nutrients that are missing in food that was there 150 years ago. And so Sizzle is designed, there is not one magic bullet, but Sizzle is designed to give us immune support, give us the nutritional factors that help to reactivate genes, give us energy, keep cells functioning. If I were to talk about, if someone said, well, I get this all the time, Tom, what do I need to take to live longer, to live healthier? Number one, let's eliminate certain things from your system. Let's replace them with Sizzle products that aren't going to take you the wrong way. But let's also give you things like TSX that helps to maintain our DNA. Let's give you age peel, and your challenge to double up on it for a couple of weeks is a great idea. The best thing to do is to give that a good kickstart, get that in your system where it's maintaining. Let's give you age peel to get those cells firing. Let's get on Stemolytic. Let's take that every other day. Let's get those senescent cells out of the way so we have 100% of our stem cells functioning positively. And then the triangle of life. The triangle of life is designed, fucoidan is about the best immune support you can get out there. And, when we started, there was a handful of studies on fucoidan, on its benefits. Now there are a couple of thousand plus studies out there, because they find, and once again, it comes from historical knowledge of people who consumed it. I think Okinawa has like 500 people over 100 years of age. Their main staple is fucoidan in brown seaweed. And so we know there's power in it, and we've taken it from the scientific perspective to find out which is the most broad spectrum of 40 different varieties, found that. We found out what form makes it the most potent, that has the highest degree of sulfur attached to these molecules. We've patented that process, so we get the majority of it in our system to give us a benefit. And then through science, we found the power of resveratrol to help turn on the sirtuin-2 genes. This is what the French paradox was about. How can they have a mediocre diet and live longer than the majority of other people? Because of that wonderful nutrient we know as resveratrol. So those ingredients are very powerful, very effective. It's the latest science out there from a natural perspective on what people consume that can be proven. People really get into it. People can have their blood drawn and they can say, what's my chronological age versus my biological age? And we've had people who tell us that their biological age, they're becoming younger, even though, the hands of time keep turning, they keep traveling around the sun, they become older. But it's not about how many times you go around the sun and what your chronological age, it's how you feel, and it's how you think, and it's what you can do with your body, and And Sizzle is a great benefit to everyone out there from a product perspective. We have what people are looking for. And from a business standpoint, once again, it is not duplicated in other industries out there. And so if you want to build a business, boy, this is the one. I mean, we have multiple products, but if anti-aging is where your love and your interest is, this is the latest science out there that you can find. Doc?
Hang on, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, I'm just so totally fascinated with the anti-aging. I started looking at long before I met your dad, and and I was kind of working on a few things, and resveratrol was one of the things I was working with, and Guisertin, and a few other things that I'd never really studied too much about Fucoidan, and once I heard that video or that audio that your dad made on the TSX, then I started listening to the other audios on the Fucoidan and the Eternity product and the Spectrum Act, and all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, you guys got everything, and right down to where you started. I mean, if you're not going to change your lifestyle, if you're not going to remove those toxic products out of your lifestyle, then why spend all the money buying the products if you're not gonna remove the stuff that's making you sick in the first place?
That's right.
And I was just having that discussion with a guy down in Texas about 10 minutes before I got on this call. He's got rheumatoid arthritis, and he said he smokes, and and his diet isn't all that good. And I said, well, let's change that first, and then let's get you on a few things. Let's get you to change what you're doing. And he's going to do it.
That's really where it starts. It's a commitment. It's like building a business. I mean, I see people come into this business. I saw some in Indiana that 2 or 3 years ago when I met them, I thought, they say they want to build a business. Holy cow. Had they ever? And what did it boil down to? It boiled down to two things. They were committed, and they had the ability to get out of their comfort zone and talk to other people. And I mean, I had a woman there with Sizzle Rip. That's backed. In fact, they've put over 20 million into research into that formulation of Sizzle Rip now, and it's incredible what they're doing for muscle growth. It all came out of, as you know, research from the University of Arkansas on muscle mass with the children and adults who were bedridden, and they were able to actually help them increase muscle mass. But a woman who was in a wheelchair, and now, boy, she's walking around feeling fine. And she said, I never wanted to have a business, and I never thought I would get involved in network marketing, but I realized you are not the traditional network marketing. You're looking for hard science with proven benefits, and now they make a substantial income. And she said, I cannot help. She says, my medical doctor, with the condition I have, Sizzle Rip, gave me exactly what I needed to get out of this wheelchair. She had a degenerative disease. She said, now my medical doctor sends people to me. Please help these people, because, he's curing the symptoms and she's, curing the disease per se. And that's what it's about. And, and it's hard not to get analysis paralysis. I mean, I live this every day. I'm investigating things every day and meeting with research scientists. But really, you need to take a simplistic approach to this. Have a testimony of a product or a system. And today we're talking about anti-aging. This is a system that works. And if you take Age Pill and Stemolytic and the Triangle of Life and TSX, this is the science that's out there with proven results. And there's millions of dollars in demographic studies, in human studies, animal studies, and prove that this can happen. Our bodies are regenerative. Unfortunately, we only have one of those, but it's finding these keys. And like I said at the first of the call, there are people on this call today that are going to see that day. And I'm hoping I'm one of them, because I'm researching this continually. Science is progressing that fast, but also, other industries are too, and they're producing a lot of toxins that make it hard to get around. That's why we have, the one thing I didn't speak about was Spectrum Max. that's the most broad spectrum antioxidant out there from a nutritional standpoint to neutralize the free radicals that are trying to tear us down every day. And so sizzle is don't make it complicated. Don't think that you have to know, all the terms. What is apoptosis and what does senescent cells mean? Go out there and tell people like this woman. I was in a wheelchair, and a month later, I'm out walking around enjoying my kids, and doctors are referring people to me because these products work. And so get a testimony of the products. And if you have the ability to say, hi, my name's so-and-so, and guess what? I feel a lot better because of these products. You can build a business and set some goals and then hold yourself accountable to those. And boy, I'll tell you what, there's a dynamic business here, and there are thousands of people. I look at the companies that have gone down over the last 2 years, and we've had double-digit growth every year, and a significant amount of that because of the product's work.
There you go. I'm gonna leave the call with a couple testimonials that I'm just on myself and my family, Tom. Back when I first started taking the age pill 5 years ago, I noticed I got rid of my reading glasses. I don't even know where they are. I don't have to wear reading glasses anymore. My vision improved that much. But what I noticed is that after I've been on the computer, or and a lot of times I don't even use my computer anymore. I got that little cell phone thing, and I'm doing my computer work on my cell phone while I'm sitting at my computer. I'm sitting at my computer, but I'm on my cell phone, and so I would get that eye fatigue, and everything would go blurry. And since I started doing this double dose, because I'm not just challenging my team to do it, I'm doing it myself too. I started 2 weeks before I challenged anyone else. And you're not going to believe this, that blurriness, my vision, gone. Right? You talk about regenerative ability. 5 years ago, I got to where my eyes regenerated enough. I didn't need my reading glasses.
Yep.
And when you get to be 60 years old, everybody has to have their reading. I don't need my reading glasses anymore. Now my vision has gone to the point to where I don't get that blurriness. But here's my second testimonial. I just got back late last night. I drove my dad down to Mayo Clinic. My dad will be 85 this year, and he beat cancer for the 4th time.
Wow.
Right?
Congratulations.
Yeah, beat it for the 4th time. And, of course, we can't make any testimonies. We've got to be careful on what we say. And I was talking to his oncologist yesterday, and his oncologist, I asked his oncologist, I said, is there any nutritional products that you would recommend for somebody that has cancer? And he said, oh, no. He said, I don't recommend any nutritional stuff at all. And I said, really? I said, after you've seen my dad beat cancer 4 times? He said, well, your dad should keep taking what he's taking. But he says, you asked me if there's anything I would recommend. And I started laughing. And he says, I can't recommend anything.
Yep. No, they can't. I mean, they have malpractice insurance, and they have to, toe the party line.
Yeah. But he said, you have your dad keep taking what you're taking. And he said, you might want to have him increase his folic acid just a little bit more.
Okay.
And I just kind of chuckled a little bit, but yeah, 4th time he's beat cancer, and dad's doing great. And I'm going to bump up his Avenger dose, because, now we got to deal with a little bit of that chemo illness that, beating the chemo along with it. Yeah. So, well, Tom, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know it's time when you could be spending with your family and having fun out there on the mountain and all of that. So thanks for being with us today.
Love to be here. Hello, everyone. Goodbye.
All right.
We'll see you. Thanks, Doc.
Bye now. Bye.
Okay, bye.